My dad was a different kind of guy. Anyone who ever met him would agree. He was simple and humble, with simple and humble goals in life. He wanted to provide for his family and spend time with them. That pretty much sums it up. If he was at home with Mom and his girls, he had all he needed. Dad was never flashy or looking for glory. Just give him a comfortable place to sit, a good movie to watch, and his family nearby, and he was fulfilled. Dad was unbelievably intelligent. He was the kind of man who could teach himself anything. He was always trying to teach us about math or science or history or politics. He was naturally curious his entire life and had a way of knowing something about really anything you could bring up. And of course, if you didn't know, he was also awfully good at pretending he did. His intelligence and willingness to share his knowledge with me, even in the times that I rolled my eyes or blew him off or begged and pleaded with him to stop boring me to death, he never stopped sharing his love for knowledge with me. Dad is the reason I'm the math and science nerd that I am today. He put that love for learning in me very early, and he has fed it my entire life. Life got so busy the last few years, so it was only occasionally that we were able to talk. But no matter what was going on, the conversations always went the same way. Catch up quickly on any important family news, tell him what the girls had been doing or learning, and then he always had some sort of article he had read or show he had watched that he wanted to discuss. Sometimes I was familiar and could discuss it. Sometimes I just listened. It might be cold fusion, politics, or a new rare breed of bird found on some remote island. I never knew what he would be learning next, but there was always something, and his subject matter was so widely varied. Most people that ever met Dad probably had no idea how intelligent he was or how loving and kind he could be. But I guarantee you, anyone who spent more than 5 minutes with him could tell you he had an odd sense of humor, and he loved to make people laugh. He had a way of making a remark, and then 2 sentences later you would just stop and think about what he said and crack up, never quite sure if he was serious or not. He wasn't one to tell jokes or rehearse lines. He was just quick and witty and had great comedic timing. Anyone who knew us growing up will tell you that my dad and I had a very special bond. We always had a love and understanding of each other that was intangible. Even in the years that we struggled to get along, the bond never went away. I was his Gumby no matter how big I got, and I always will be.
I want to say how lucky each and every one of you in this room are to have known my dad, but you probably already knew that. Anyone who spent even a few moments with Tony Ellis knew how truly unique he was. And I'm going to brag and say I was one of the luckiest, because even though we only had 25 years together, we saw a lot of each other. He was the perfect dad for me. Not everyone here may know this, but at times I'm pretty weird and far out. And Dad was one of the few people in my life to not only see and accept that, but we shared those traits. He was the first person to greet me when I entered this world, and I couldn't be more thankful for such a tender, warm, and loving welcome. And as I said, we spent a lot of time together. When I was 2, just he and I would go fishing on a sneak boat. And when I was 6, we played with Legos and Army Men and listened to Queen. We watched funny TV shows and movies together, and his favorite pastime was to piss me off until we both started laughing. He taught me to drive when I was 8. He taught me unconditional love through every phase of my life. And the love that my parents share is so deep and so strong. No one has ever been doted on more than my mother, even after 40 plus years of marriage. And honestly, I came close. Dad never forgot to tell me how pretty I looked, and he always had time for a sushi date. And those dinners weren't filled with awkward pauses and how was school, but with real content. And sometimes we discussed our obscure dreams, or he told me stories about his youth. I mean, where would I or any of us be without the Holy Mother of Crustacean Church? But oftentimes I just listened attentively to Dad tell me about topics that went way over my head. And I'll miss him for as long as I live. but I couldn't be more grateful to have had his unconditional love.
My dad had an infectious personality. He was a kind, loving, sweet man, and he was brilliant. He was always trying to learn something new or teach me something new, even if I didn't want to learn it. He read a lot about history and knew so much information about politics, and he had strong opinions on all of it. He loved my mom with all of his heart, and they made it through so many things together over the years. I think he had so much passion for his marriage, for his children and his grandchildren, that it really shined through in everything that he did and said. I always felt supported and loved by my daddy, and we are going to miss him tremendously. I'm happy that he's in heaven now with all the other loved ones that we've lost. And I know he's making it an even more fun place than it could have been already. My fondest childhood memories are playing with my dad, learning how to fish, and flying kites, his very favorite thing. I know that you all love him just as much as I did, and I think we were truly blessed that he had such a happy, healthy life for so many years, and that even when he got sick, he was still able to carry on and do things how he wanted to do them. And I know my boys have really grown up with the best grandfather in the world. He's going to be dearly missed by all of us, and we just love him so much.